it's a masterpiece
Yeah.
because it's the antithesis of 90s action movies.
Yes.
Because it is an action movie with a 90s feel to it for sure.
It's
But
the feel, like the way it was shot was like just
this is
super
like
90s.
this is gritty and realistic, and I don't think you could get more realistic than this.
This was raw and grounded. This is what you talk about when you talk about raw and grounded.
Yes.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
We're back. It's episode 163. We're officially announcing today that we will no longer be covering movies here on the podcast. We are now going to be your 24/7 correspondents for the for World War Epstein that popped off over the weekend. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Wild. I was actually unplugged. I guess it happened. They announced it Friday at 1 a.m. So it would have been 11 p.m. my time. I didn't realize that we were bombing Iran until like 3 p.m. the next day. That's how unplugged I was. I was like, wait.
That's good.
What are we doing?
We had to wait for the markets to close first before we dropped any bombs, you know? Yeah, no, just kidding. But this is a big day regardless. Make Marvin Watch Day.
Yeah.
This is February's Make Marvin Watch, not March's, even though you're going to be watching.
We get a 2 for this month.
And listening in March. And we're talking about Heat. Arguably the greatest movie ever made, depending on who you talk to. And it's certainly up there. It was time for Marvin to watch Heat. I can't believe you've never seen this one. I know we say that a lot, but this is like one of those. It's like, I feel like it's always on TV. It's so iconic. I don't know. But
TV.
True.
I haven't watched that in years.
That is true. Yeah, so stick around for that, folks. That's going to be a fun one, talking about Heat. Also, it actually happened to work out. I don't know if I'm sure it's in your transition piece. Yep, sure is. That Heat 2 has been in the works since, I think, 2016. The book had come out, and now we've got some confirmation that we'll talk about later about who might be in Heat 2. So that kind of worked out for us that we're talking about it today. So Heat, folks, stick around. What have you guys been up to these last 2 weeks? How you guys doing?
I watched The Monkey, Osgood Perkins.
Was it terrible?
It was a fun, cool watch. The story was definitely terrible, and I didn't really know what the was happening. As far as like
classic
the story was terrible, and I didn't know what was happening. But it was a decent movie.
There was some funny kill. It was like it honestly felt like a comedy horror. It wasn't labeled comedy at all, but it definitely felt like a horror comedy pulling out of the Raimi bag of tricks. It felt like the other movie I watched was Diabolic, actually.
Oh, I
don't know if you guys have heard about that one. Or not,
I think it's on one of my. Yeah, it's on my list.
It's kind of. It was like I think it was like an indie or something. I'm pretty sure it was an indie.
Yep.
I think it was. Was it?
How was that?
Australian or something? I don't know. That one was actually a lot more enjoyable than The Monkey to me.
It looked cool.
It was a cool story. It was a little different take on you know, the same old possession type stuff. So that was cool. Yeah, it was good. And it was they actually did some research on it was FLDS, some kind of Latter-day Saints, like
the Church of Latter-day Saints.
No, it's like a branch off the Mormons. Yeah, I don't know if it was the main branch or what, but they definitely did some research, and it was a good watch.
That's cool. I had put that on my list like a week ago, maybe pretty recently. It looks cool. That's the
Yep.
I noticed it. I don't know how high it is on my watch list, but I've thought about like maybe we'll think about watching that one sometime.
I mean, it's like
I love those hour and a half horror movies. You just watch them and they're done. So it's like I could watch easily one of those a week.
Well, it's like we've been talking about more recently. It's the beauty of horror, right? It's like probably the only genre I think that you could just like easily put on anything for the most part without like vetting it or watching a trailer or reading about it or looking at reviews or ratings, and just like kind of enjoy it for what it is. Horror to me is the only genre where you could really do that. I mean,
everything else is too risky.
It is too risky.
A commitment. Because if it's bad, it's like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, because
the horror movie's bad. It's like, okay, well,
right.
At least I got to see some good cheesy kills or something.
Exactly, and horror doesn't rely on, good dialogue or good acting. In fact, it's oftentimes worse when that is the case because you get like this dead serious thing with like that's trying to be serious about the acting,
it's
trying
bad.
to be serious about the writing.
It pisses me off,
and it's bad, right? But the best horror to me is like I liken it to going to like a haunted house, around Halloween or like a like that type of stuff. It's just like it's just fun. It's meant to be fun and playful. It doesn't have to be like a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's cool. How about you, Dusty? You been watching anything?
Yeah, I watched a few things. Me and the lady watched Dracula, a love love story.
That looks so bad. That's the one. That's the remake. It basically looks like it remade
It's good.
the Coppola one.
I enjoyed it.
Was it actually good?
Yeah.
Was it as good as the Coppola one?
I mean, it's a different take on it. It's an actual like love story. So he's basically just trying to, I don't know. It's I liked it. I thought it was good. Me and Christina both enjoyed it. I think it's worth a watch.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if it's worth talking about it, but yeah, I thought it was.
I've been seeing it on the popular lists or whatever.
I've seen pretty much all the Dracula movies, so I don't know why you would want to miss on this one if you like a Dracula story. I think it's a good take, but you weren't as big on the Frankenstein movie either. I would miss that one, the recording. But.
Nah, I mean, it was okay. I liked it. I mean, it was good, but like I didn't care for it that much. I actually forgot about it until you just mentioned it.
And then I watched Mercy. It's Chris Pratt, I think Netflix movie. It's, I mean, it's kind of a remake, a modernization of what's the Tom Cruise one, Minority Report.
Oh, okay. Is it the one where he's being interrogated by the AI, right? And he has to like defend his innocence
I thought
or whatever.
This was, I thought this was slop when I saw it. I've seen it a couple times.
It's predictable. It's mid. It's like it's kind of like Minority Report, except he's talking to AI, and the AI isn't really ready to be what it is. It's I don't know.
The day or two I was sick, I watched The Burbs, the new show with Keke Palmer. Very, very good. I enjoyed it very much. I was surprised at how good it was. Peacock, they do some sleeper stuff that nobody tends to talk about.
Yeah, Peacock does have some good stuff. I watched the Twisted Metal show they had with
I remember
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, I remember you.
It was like a 30-minute watch, so it was cool. It was cool to see.
There's a new season of that, I think.
Oh shit, I didn't even know.
I wanted to make The Burbs has been on my Make Marvin watch list for a while. The movie. It's a Tom Hanks movie. Very, very funny. Right, It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's like a horror comedy type of thing. And then I had no idea that this was coming out, this show that's based off of that. And it's basically the same premise. Keke Palmer and her husband, they like move into this cul-de-sac in the suburbs, and like some weird shit's going on. This is more of like a whodunit than the actual movie. So like the movie is like more based in horror. Tom Hanks thinks his neighbor's like a murderer. This one is like there's like a mystery, a bigger mystery at play that was, I thought, really interesting. They resolved it in a way that can obviously lead to a second season, of course, naturally. And I hope they get one. It was really funny. I don't know. I don't really know anybody involved in it, who wrote it, who directed it, but I just know Keke Palmer was in it. She's great. And she was funny. And
she's usually pretty funny.
A lot of the
she was funny in that other movie we watched.
Which one?
What was it called? It was like kind of like a Friday knockoff or something.
Oh, we didn't watch that. We were gonna watch that.
Oh, I did watch it.
You did watch it, yeah.
Yeah, one of them days is what it's called.
Yeah, one of them days. She her character in this show, it's like she's like, I don't know, she's like from the city and she's moving into the suburbs. And so like a lot of it is about like that sort of transition of a lot of it is that transition of like going from city life to suburban life.
The cultural differences.
Yeah, the cultural differences, and like a lot of it in the cul-de-sac is like older white women, and they're like, like, you know, there's one scene where it's like, "Oh, that's a beautiful name. Is that African?" And she's like, "Yeah, it is actually." Like, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of little funny encounters, but I thought the show did a really great job of like representing suburban life, same as the movie does. That's kind of why I relate to it. It's like, because you get, you know, every block has like their own little cliques, and it really nails that. So you guys should watch it. I thought it was really good. It's an easy watch too. Each episode's like 40 minutes or something like that.
Nice.
And then
that's
Paul,
probably one I could watch with C.
Yeah, and Paul, yeah, for sure. The Burbs actually had it got a pretty warm reception. It had 1 billion minutes viewed since its launch.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty popular.
On Peacock? Damn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't the only one that enjoyed it.
On the cock.
Yeah, a lot of people are on the cock.
A lot of people on the cock.
A lot of people are on the cock.
That should be their slogan.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Come get on the cock.
Yeah.
Yo, I want that patented right now, because if they do that, we're suing. All right.
Put it on a t-shirt, put it on the website.
Yep, exactly.
Have you heard about the cock?
So I'm not the only one who was on the cock last weekend watching the Burbs. A lot of people seem to enjoy the Burbs. I told you, Peacock, they've done some good. They got some good stuff.
Is it free?
I don't know.
Peacock free?
I don't think it's
or they
free.
have like a free version.
I don't know if there's a free version of the cock, but
no, I don't. This is one thing that's bothered me, and I think they're talking about, like, they've talked about this as far as sports streaming because it's a problem. But yeah, I don't know why they don't. You can't just go watch NBC online because they have blackout shit and local advertising deals and shit. But
folks, Dusty used to be a video game journalist. Now he does all the movie news muckraking for you folks, you fine folks, so you could stay in the know. We had a little bit of a break. We've got a lot of stuff going on, not just war, but a complete and utter takeover of every facet of media and entertainment in the country. What do you got for us this week, Dusty?
Well, we got Paramount, Sky Get Dance, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah,
that's the name of the company. That's not just a bunch of studios. That's what's.
This is so interesting. Yeah. So, well, go ahead. I just want to cue it. I want to just start it by saying that Ted Sarandos, the CEO lizard person who runs Netflix, he met with Dear Leader the day, like, I don't know, it was Thursday, Wednesday maybe. And literally the next day we got the announcement that they were backing out of the deal and allowing Paramount to go forward. So, I mean, now the media is framing this as, in a shocking turn of events. I don't think anybody who has been paying attention to this is shocked in any way. But what do you think, Dusty?
Yeah, apparently David Zaslav has been playing a real life version of Deal or No Deal with Ted Sarandos and David Ellison because the Warner Brothers Netflix merger announced earlier in December collapsed after Paramount's plethora of counteroffers finally hit a number that made Netflix walk away. Apparently, the latest offer from Paramount gave Netflix 4 days to match, and they just immediately walked away, leaving Paramount with a $2.8 billion termination fee. So they have to pay Warner Brothers that so that they don't have to do it.
Sheesh.
Doesn't Netflix get that?
That's insane, man. Yeah,
no,
Netflix wins money.
Netflix wins money too in this.
The termination fee is probably Netflix gets some money. Warner Brothers gets some money too, I believe, because Netflix had a termination fee with Warner Brothers if it happened.
So I think you're mixing it up. I think the 2.8 billion goes to Netflix, and now if Paramount doesn't end up getting Warner Brothers,
it's $7 billion.
Warner Brothers gets $7 billion because there was a leak. Apparently a leaked audio or leaked something or other of David Zaslav being like, well, if this all goes tits up, we get $8 billion and we go back to work. So for Warner Brothers, it's just about getting rich, obviously. But it seems like that was always the plan for Netflix too. I've seen some people speculating that like, oh, Netflix never even gave a shit really about Warner Brothers.
Right.
Well, some say they had ambition and they were taking a shot at trying to get it, and they knew they didn't really have the means as much as like Ellison does. But
because of his ties to our shot criminal fascist government,
Netflix took it as it's worth a shot because if we get it, it's awesome. If we don't, we come out with some money anyways.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there's any details on how much. I think the last price was $31 a share, which is almost like 80 billion. It was like 78 or 78 million. No, 78 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The deal's not done. Of course, before it was done, Paramount had claimed they had already cleared DOJ antitrust review, but they had really just filed the paperwork. DOJ could come back and ask for some information. I believe Cory Booker has asked for Ellison to testify before Congress, and California Attorney General Rob Bonta has been publicly vowing strict scrutiny over the deal since he's the California AG. And not only that, but there are 13 to 14 state attorney generals, both Democratic and Republican, actively investigating the deal.
Yeah.
Reflecting an increasing role of states on the merger. So we don't know what's about to happen. We just know that Netflix is no longer involved. They got their $2.8 billion, and we'll see what happens from here, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, from what I understand, it could still not go through. Like it's not a done deal. It's not set in stone. There are still people within our government that oppose dear leader and his criminal fascist government.
There are legitimate antitrust concerns with this deal.
I mean, this would be the end of the world.
Monopoly concerns.
This is like the end of the world, like level. This is like an Avengers level threat. Paramount owning all this shit. I mean, just look at this. Paramount is now expected to own the following assets and film rights: TNT, CBS, CNN. CNN's the big one. That's really why they want to do this, because they want to turn CNN into a far right
Fox News. Yeah,
they want it to be a state-sponsored media, just like CBS, just like what is it, NBC or CBS? Whatever the one they took over recently with, they put what's her name in there? Barry Weiss.
Loomer.
No, Barry Weiss. Loomer. Jesus, jump scare. So TNT, CBS, CNN, MTV, TCM, Showtime, Adult Swim, DC Studios, Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon, HBO/HBO Max, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network. Those are the networks. The film rights they would get: Star Trek, Gremlins, Beetlejuice, DC Comics, Tom and Jerry, Harry Potter, Citizen Kane, Transformers, A Quiet Place, Looney Tunes, The Conjuring, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Dora the Explorer, Mission Impossible, Lord of the Rings, SpongeBob SquarePants, Avatar, The Last Airbender, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Dune 3, which is the distribution rights to Minecraft, and the distribution rights to MonsterVerse. So,
just to name a few.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that they don't care about any of this. That's the sin part of this. It's literally about one thing and one thing only: to create state-sponsored media for propaganda purposes, which is extra crazy because the media, mainstream media, is consumed by boomers and like Gen X people. And like, they are like yesterday's news. I don't know really like what the grand strategy is, not to get political, but like, I don't think the people in charge understand how the internet works, or that maybe it even exists. They seem to be really struggling with that because like, why are you putting all your eggs into the basket of CNN? Like, how many people do you think are going to be watching CNN in 5-10 years? We've already seen the numbers of mainstream media channels like plummeting. And the only people watching these channels are in their late 60s, now early 70s. It's like, they don't matter. No offense.
Not in the long term, yeah.
Well, it's still for now, CNN and Fox are the two news stations that get played in every bar, business, airport, etc. Public
No,
place.
I get it, but like, who actually takes those media? Like, who takes them seriously? People our age don't, and we're the future, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, some people say that this saves cinema on the other side of the coin of this, like, because Netflix would have just gone all digital. You're not a big fan of the Lizard Man, Ted Sarandos, or what he could have done to the whole Warner Brothers IP. And now that it's in the hands of Paramount, they will continue to do theatrical runs and make, billions of dollars in theaters. So
theatrical runs where Superman is actually defending Baravia instead of actively stopping them from invading Jarhampur. I've seen a lot of funny memes. I've been sharing some of them with you. I don't know. I still hope this doesn't go through. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't know that. I don't even know that David Zaslav thinks it's going to go through. It seems to me like he's kind of just like, yeah, whatever. If it happens, it happens. If it happens, we get rich. If not, then whatever. We're still rich. See, lizard people. Okay, look at this guy.
They're out there.
They really are. Mulder was right. Mulder was right, dude. What else you got for us, Dusty? What else is going on? Anything less miserable than that, or?
It's interesting.
I read this a couple days ago. This gave me a little glimmer of hope. Apparently, DVDs are the new vinyl records. For hipsters got
Analog's
into vinyls.
Coming back.
Gen Z is apparently embracing physical media. I mean, Gen Z is our last hope for a lot of stuff. They're like the first generation to like really see the forest for the trees and realize like they've been given a rough deal. Millennials should have realized that, but we still were fooled by our parents who were like, yeah, go to college and get a great education. You'll have good insurance and a good job. Gen Z is like, yeah, what are you, high? Like, give me a break. So the ball's in their court now, and so far they've been doing some good stuff, and this has me a little bit excited. This is giving me a little bit of hope. Apparently, so they're reviving DVD and Blu-ray sales, with video rental shops reporting record months and membership numbers as young people embrace physical media. Physical media sales declined just 9% in 2025, compared to drops of over 20% in 2023 and 2024, marking a dramatic shift in a shrinking market. Young customers cite frustration with subscription fatigue and content scattered across platforms, viewing physical media ownership as a form of cultural rebellion.
Should open up a comic book shop.
My dream is to own a movie theater. I've talked about it on the show. I mean, honestly, there's a lot
I can show these people how to rebel.
I mean,
I can show them the real way.
You should start a revolution, Marvin. You could be you could be like Che Guevara of movie watching and
Who was that?
Che Guevara. He was the guy that helped Castro rise to power.
Oh, damn, that's a deep cut.
You don't know about the Cuban Revolution, Marvin?
I don't know much about it, no.
Well, they had a merciless dictator in charge. I forget his name. Let's see.
Don't feel bad, Marvin. Most people don't know anything about it.
What do you mean? I feel like this is common knowledge, no?
I mean, you could walk up to 100 people on the street and say, who's Che Guevara? And
I guess that's
one
fair.
person might be able to tell you actually who he was. Some people say, he's a commie, or, he's that guy on those T-shirts that those kids wear. But
Marvin, you've seen this image a billion times in your life. That's Che.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a revolutionary. He basically Cuba was ran by Batista. He was a merciless dictator. Castro led like a group of revolutionaries that rose up to overthrow Batista. Che Guevara was part of that revolution. He was like a Marxist revolutionary, guerrilla tactics, all this stuff. They overthrew Batista, installing Castro as the new leader, and then Castro became another dictator, which is one of the, that's like That's like the the American exceptionalist goat for being like, hey, that's why communism doesn't work. Just look at Cuba. Meanwhile, like every communist or socialist nation that has issues is because of U.S. intervention. But we won't go there. Anyway, you could be the Che Guevara, Marvin, of cutting the cord. You know?
That's right.
That should be merch. We need to get Marvin on a t-shirt like this image here of Che. Just that I gotta make.
I get a Kangol or whatever.
I gotta put Marvin's face on this, and we just get a Marvin
Michael Jackson jacket,
a Marvin shirt
with the Michael Jackson jacket. Yeah,
there's some really good movies about Che Guevara if you're actually interested. He's an interesting figure, but there's the movie Che, which is 2 parts, and Benicio del Toro plays him. Great movie.
Oh wow.
And then there's an even better one that I like called The Motorcycle Diaries. And that one is about his early days, I think, before the Cuban Revolution. He takes a road trip across South America. And it's like it documents his journey as a young man, like it's almost like it's basically Andor, essentially. It's like what led him to become a revolutionary.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Che. Okay.
Che is the other one. Che is like, I think, during the Cuban Revolution, or it's 2 parts, so it might be before and during, or during and after. I can't remember. It's been a really long time since I've seen either of them. Anyhow, yeah, physical media might be coming back. That'd be great. I've been saying for a while now, not that I'm Nostradamus, but I think there's a lot of horrible shit that's been going on for the last 10 years or so, but I've been saying to people, I think I've even said it on the show, that I feel like in my bones, the stuff that's happening is so shitty that the only natural progression I see logically is a snapback to like a early 2000s sort of lifestyle of the hybrid between like a healthy balance of
the Matrix.
Just a healthy balance.
The peak of civilization.
What was early 2000s?
The Matrix. Yeah, that's what the Matrix. That's what they said the Matrix was.
It really was.
We ran so many simulations, we had to go back to the early 2000s, which was the peak of humanity.
I mean, it really was, though. Think about it. We had like a healthy balance of digital and like physical stuff. And like,
man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, people still had hard lines in their house. I mean, my mother still has a fucking hard line phone, but I mean, that's because she's weird. But
my mom actually got rid of hers recently.
Yeah.
Payphones were still a thing.
So I could see like a world where we snap back to that time period and like physical media makes a little bit of a comeback because, you know, again, not to be political, but it's hard not to be when you talk about this stuff because it is very political. You could literally trace back this like path and this like plot to slowly convert people over to digital media, digital subscription-based media. Think about it. Over the years, what happened? They slowly started to phase out DVD players and Blu-ray players. Good luck buying a Blu-ray player or a DVD player. I mean, you can still buy Blu-ray players because of like, you know, home theater stuff or whatever. But
Sony stopped making them.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
CDs are slowly started to get phased out. And and they say it's like because, well, consumers don't want it. No, you know what you're fucking doing because they slowly start to phase it out, and then they introduce these subscription models. It's like, oh well, you could just pay for digital media on Spotify or Apple, or oh hey, we have 15 streaming services, and so you know, not that the pandemic was a big conspiracy that was set up, depending on whether or not you read the Epstein files, but you could see how, like, don't let a good catastrophe go to waste. Like, clearly they were like, oh, well, how do we could use this to, like, violently push people towards subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's financially motivating for them, too, because they have less physical medium to print and ship and deal with. And when they can get everybody that lives somewhere with high-speed internet to get in the cloud and do their stuff, then it's more money for them because the subscription is recurring. But they still have to deal with
it, so they always stay subscribed.
That's right. That's
until
right.
They die.
But they still have to deal with physical medium because they have to contend with customers that don't live in areas that have high-speed internet, and that's most of the world. Even though we, because we're very privileged as Americans.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad it's making a comeback. This will force these companies to print more physical medium because sales starts going up, and so it'll keep it around longer because I'm a firm believer in physical medium.
I hope this becomes a trend. I hope it pops off and becomes a thing because, I mean, something's got to be done. I mean, I don't remember who said it, but let me see. Jamie, can you look that up? There was
even
quote.
Microsoft went away from it. It's crazy.
Somebody quoted in the government, I think, or maybe it was an executive. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Search that quote, Jamie. Who said that? Because they literally said it.
It's a book. I don't know if there's a book based on it. I know that.
I forgot who said it.
World Economic Forum. 2016 essay by Danish politician Ida.
Yeah, there you go.
Auken.
The quote first appeared in 2016. Imagine that. That's when all this shit started. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better.
Mm-hmm.
Auken later clarified.
Central bank digital currency comes out. Wait till that shit happens.
That's already happening. That's why we're at war with Iran. Ida Auken later clarified that the piece was not a utopia or a dream of the future, but a scenario to start a discussion about the pros and cons of current technological developments.
Convenient.
I'm just saying they said.
Oh, so he was saying it as a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That they're literally saying it out loud. Everything is going to subscription-based shit. What was announced like 2 weeks ago? They said video games are going to go to subscription models. You're going to rent your consoles. You're not going to own your
everything
consoles.
already is basically. Yeah. The live services tie you to you don't own games anymore. Once the live service shuts down, it's unplayable.
Guess what? AI inflated the price of PC parts, graphics cards, RAM, all this shit. Now what are they talking about?
Memory.
Now you're going to rent your computers.
Oh yeah.
They're talking about
smart TVs are affected by RAM prices now too. They said 4K TVs are going up.
That's why I gotta get in while I gotta strike while the iron's hot. Also, no, I'm being serious. They're gonna be expensive.
I know.
Also, 2 weeks ago they're talking about how they're gonna rental property is gonna be more of a thing. Like eventually they don't want you to even own a cars are turning over to rental stuff. Like leasing is going to be more prevalent. They don't want you to own anything.
Even when you own your home, you still have to pay property taxes.
Well, don't get Dusty started on taxes. Whoo, shit, we'll be here for 5 hours.
That's the biggest scam of them all, property taxes.
But they don't want you to own anything. They literally want to create just an army of drones who just consume. Just consume. We're literally living in they live. John Carpenter was a fucking visionary, okay?
Yep.
They live in hey, listen, I don't have a big problem with not owning media because, I mean, I'm all digital there. I'm fine with that. And you can say
good solar flare and we're out of
I know, but then it's I got more problems then because I'm out of a job. I'm probably it's like
that's true.
What was the big thing we covered maybe a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago? Where Amazon, they're pulling stuff out of people's libraries and they're like, well, you bought it, but technically you don't own it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So so if buying something isn't ownership, then what's the motto? Then piracy isn't stealing or whatever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Anyway.
That's what some people say.
It.
Yeah.
All right.
So hopefully Gen Z, please save us. Start buying DVDs and stuff again. Blu-rays so I could open up a movie theater. Our world, our real life is so shitty that we're gonna live in like a cyberpunk type of dystopia, but it's not gonna be like a cool one like the movies or video games. It's not gonna be as cool as Blade Runner or as cool as the game. It's gonna be so lame and whack that in those types of movies and stories and video games, you get two sects of people. It's like people who want to like modify their body and stuff with like cybernetics and all this stuff, and like the people who oppose it. Our shitty reality is going to be people who want to watch AI horse shit versus people who don't.
Right, it's going to be boring and shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing exciting.
And we're going to own nothing. And we're all just going to be homeless and poor and hungry.
Well, and some good news, Dan. Do you want to believe?
I do want to believe, yeah. I do.
The truth is out there, baby.
Tell me what to believe in.
The X-Files pilot has been ordered at Hulu, with Danielle Deadweiler set to co-lead with a yet uncast partner.
Let's go. It's going to be two blacks?
Oh, yeah.
This is unheard of.
Yet uncast partner, so don't know who the other partner is.
Come on.
Holy shit.
We know.
Jennifer Yale.
Who is it? You're saying we know.
We don't know.
Who's going to be
I was just making a joke. It's going to be another black person, like a woke. We know it's going to be a black person. It's going to be a black trans person because it's woke.
Jennifer Yale of the Copenhagen Test and Your Friends and Neighbors is the showrunner. Two highly decorated but vastly different FBI agents form an unlikely bond where they are assigned to a long shuttered division devoted to cases involving unexplained phenomena.
This has me a little bit worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I was excited for this and I still kind of am, but this now has me a little bit worried because I don't want, Marvin's like, what are you about to say right now?
I don't want two blacks. One is enough.
I cannot have this. I'm only so liberal now. No, I don't. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be just a retread of the original series, right?
Yeah.
Like
a reboot.
No, I'm saying like a retread. Like if it's just going to be the same, it obviously is it's not a reboot. It's a continuation revival. But like, if they're just going to be like, hey, we have two agents who are vastly different, but they form an unlikely bond. Like you're literally describing Mulder and Scully. I wanted, if you're going to do this, give us something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want like one skeptic versus one person who's like,
we've already seen that for
into the conspiracies. And we've seen it for
2,400 hours.
Exactly.
Well, that's long
basically
time is.
Every quote unquote buddy movie, whether it's a buddy cop movie or a buddy scientist movie or a buddy hero movie, like they all have that dynamic of contrasting and complementary traits.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine. It's just the specific skeptic versus believer that we already have seen for like hundreds of hours with.
Yeah, man. It's like what? Okay, it's like if Vince Gilligan made the sequel to Breaking Bad, right? It wasn't Better Call Saul, but it was Breaking Bad, and it's just like another guy who has like, I don't know, AIDS or something, or he has pancreatic cancer instead of like lung cancer, and he's cooking meth to like make money. I don't know, that it's a little bit worrisome to me. I don't like, and to be honest, to be fair, to be fair to the critics, this is, again, I'm doing a lot of speculating. We don't know anything about this yet, but that's the type of shit that gets people up in arms when they're like, it's woke and DEI and like all this shit, is because it is a little bit creatively hollow and shallow to just be like, hey, here's the same thing but with two black actors, or here's the same thing with black. Yeah, that is lame. I mean, you know what I mean? Not that that's what he's doing. I don't know that if that's the case. Ryan Coogler is a wonderful creative, so I'm letting him cook and we'll see. But that description alone has me just slightly concerned. What about you guys?
I don't know. I haven't finished the X-Files, but I don't know how he could make it any different with the same dynamic between the two people.
That's what I'm saying.
Because X-Files already does a lot. Like they're not just covering, for people that haven't watched X-Files, they're not just covering alien shit. They're covering like all kinds of shit within the show. And they've done like almost everything you can imagine.
Yep.
So I don't know. They definitely got to get creative. That's all I know.
And Mulder and Scully's dynamic is amazing. Like it doesn't get stale. The whole dynamic of like, she's the skeptic. She is by the book. She's a medical doctor. She's a scientist. She needs facts. And they're constantly presented with shit that she can't explain with her traditional, science and stuff. And Mulder's always like, told you so. Like, that's a great dynamic, but I don't want to see that again with just different people. That's going to be lame to me.
Yeah. I can see it
really
being a little stale.
I don't want to. Sorry, what were you going to say, Dusty?
I was going to say it really depends upon the dynamic because there's so many that you could choose from, I guess. Like you have the the natural ones where you have the skeptic and the believer, but you also, I don't know.
Well, also another one like I point to would be True Detective in season 1 between Matthew McConaughey's character and Woody Harrelson. Like Woody Harrelson was like the cop who was like, hey, this is my job. I do what I got to do while I'm here. And then I go home.
Versus the try hard.
Versus Matthew McConaughey, who's like the nihilist, like doesn't give a fuck about anything, thinks life is meaningless and yada, yada. Yeah, like that. Like there are plenty of things to explore. The last thing I'll say, I don't want to spoil for you, Marvin, but slight spoiler. There is a season of the X-Files where Mulder and Scully are not the main agents. I won't say why or whatever.
That's interesting.
That's the spoiler stuff. But they had a different dynamic, and it was like interesting. I don't think it's a popular season because everybody wanted to see Mulder and Scully, right? Obviously. But they tried something different, and they brought in some new people, and they had a different dynamic. And I think that's what this show should do. They should have a different thing going.
Yeah, I mean, when you're buying into the X-File, you're buying into the partners. Yes. Generally, you're buying into the believer skeptic, and the other dynamics therein. Is it brains versus brawn? Is it male versus female? Mm-hmm. Is it protector versus innocent? There are infinite possibilities of dynamics they could explore. So I guess it really depends on how they do it. I don't think I'm worried about it, but I'm not as much of a stan on the X-Files as you are.
This might just be like a dumb, variety article description. Sure. You know what I mean? So who knows? But we'll see.
It's a story log line, so somebody wrote it down.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, what's your last piece, Dusty?
All right, well, we're here to talk about Heat, but as we previously reported, Heat 2, a proper sequel by Michael Mann himself, is in the works with Leonardo DiCaprio already attached. Mm-hmm. However, news that Christian Bale may be joining was just confirmed by the man himself. Speaking to Extra at Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, he had this to say. Yeah, I'm doing it. My God, nobody better than Michael Mann at doing a crime drama. Very excited about it. To which he added, big shoes to fill, Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock.
Hell yeah, The Heat. That's a hilarious movie.
This is a 2013 buddy cop movie he was referencing there. Not that, it was a quip he threw in there for people.
That's funny.
It was pretty funny. Yeah.
So
production begins in August with a likely release window of 2027.
I don't know. I didn't read the book because he put a book out of Heat 2. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's a little bit of a before and after type of story, bookending the actual plot of Heat, where we get to see the early lives of Hannah and Macaulay prior to Heat, and I think that's who Christian Bale and DiCaprio are playing. They're playing the younger versions of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Not sure, Man talked about this back in October because Adam Driver was, I think, and maybe Timothy Chalamet were rumored to be attached to play the younger counterparts. But then Mann said in October that he was playing with AI for de-aging processes. And then I believe, I don't know if it was De Niro or Pacino, but one of them said they'd be willing to come back to do some de-aging.
Even though they're like 100.
Oh, God. I never want to see another de-aged De Niro after The Irishman.
Oh, my God. The Irishman is such a bad movie. Dude, it's so boring.
Do you remember how he looked?
Yeah, he looked terrible.
Oh, my God. It was just smooth face.
But that was, to be fair, that was in the early days of that technology.
Yeah, they've got a little better with
that wasn't even AI. That was just like straight up CGI.
Oh, that wasn't AI.
They did it with Kurt and Monarch, didn't they?
I don't remember.
A little bit.
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh, yes, they did a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah,
Christian Bale is now joining Leonardo DiCaprio,
which is cool and
confirmed.
It's cool because one of the obvious things of note when talking about Heat is the fact that this was the first time Robert De Niro and Al Pacino were on screen at the same time. This was the first. I think this was their first movie together, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like a huge deal because back then they were obviously two giants. They're still two giants of movie industry.
Yeah.
And the media likes to play that up as like they're in some competition with each other, right? Of like who's the better actor, blah 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 blah. And that was the first time they came together. It was like a huge deal. And so I think it's cool and like on brand that they would have two giants today in the same movie again, playing those characters again, DiCaprio and Christian Bale. So that's cool.
It's huge. Yeah.
I will look for one of the few sequels I'll be looking forward to.
Yeah.
But there you have it, folks. There's all your news. If there's anything that we didn't cover that you want to let us know about, drop it in the comments. Tell us, leave your thoughts on any of the stuff that we covered. Do you think physical media is going to make a comeback, or do you think we're doomed to live in an AI dystopia? Let us know. Let's get into this week's review, and it is a Make Marvin Watch Day, baby. That's right. Marvin hasn't seen shit, folks. So, well, he's getting better. We're helping him along. He's seen a lot now, but there's still work to be had or be done. And so this month was my choice. Once a month, Dusty and I take turns picking a movie for Marvin to watch that we think he should see that he hasn't. And so this one's been on my radar for a while. It's 30 years old. I think it had its 30-year anniversary, like a couple months back. And I decided to make him watch Heat. So let's get into it. Everybody talks about Heat as the ultimate crime movie, and it certainly is. The shootout, the coffee shop scene, Pacino versus De Niro. But I don't think that's why it's one of the greatest movies ever made. I think once you realize what it's actually about, the whole thing hits a little bit differently. And since it was Marvin's first time watching it, it gave us the perfect excuse to revisit it ourselves. So let's discuss why Heat hits completely differently when you realize what it's actually trying to say. So I can't believe that Marvin went this long without watching Heat. It's like I said it earlier in the show. It's like I feel like Heat's always on TV at some point. Like I feel like it's one of those movies that's like hard to miss. There's so many references from it that we're gonna ask if you actually like picked up on, if you knew those pop cultural references. One in particular that's very pervasive.
Okay, that'll be fun.
But yeah. So this is a cops and robbers story. Pretty much, it's a group of high-end professional thieves that start to feel the heat of the LAPD when they unknowingly leave a verbal clue at their latest heist. We've got Al Pacino playing Detective Vincent Hanna on the tail of Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro, and his band of thieves, which includes little names like Val Kilmer and Tom Sizemore and John Voight. We've also got other
all those guys
top down. Did Tom Sizemore die? That's right. I forgot he did. John Voight didn't yet.
He's still around.
Yeah, he's still around. He's a MAGA guy. The cast is crazy. We got Hank Azaria, William Fitcher, Dennis Haysbert, I'm forget Ashley Judd, Amy Brenneman, Wes Studi. So bunch of big actors in this. Awesome cast. And yeah, on its surface, this is a cops and robbers story, and it's not just any cops and robbers story. This is the heist movie that made heist movies. This changed the genre forever, for many different reasons that we'll discuss. But yeah, so Marvin, kick us off. First time, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, this was great. This is definitely the best telling of cops versus robbers that you can get. I feel like that I've ever seen. Yeah, this had amazing character development. Like you already said, the cast was just insane. Like,
yeah,
Al Pacino is just so good. You kind of talked about it earlier.
it's a bit of a divisive role.
Al Pacino and De Niro, like, who's better?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably actually give it to Al Pacino, but you could definitely debate there for sure. I love how great this looked remastered. Like, this had to be upscaled the old-fashioned way, not the AI shit that we see sometimes nowadays. This was like handcrafted. Because it looked great. Like,
oh yeah,
I watched like a 4K version of it, but it was like amazing. It wasn't
crispy.
Like bad at all. It was good. Yeah, yeah. This has some really cool shots in there too. Like one of them with like the final scene with the shadows. That was cool.
Oh my god.
So it has some good, just really good all around. I love this.
So would you say that it holds up in 2026, being it was made in 1995?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely had the 90s feel to it, just like action wise and stuff. But
you're not getting any special effects.
Easily holds up. Right.
What'd you say, Dusty?
What?
Oh,
no.
Say it.
This had a completely different action feel to it than most 90s movies.
Yes.
But it did at the same time. I get 90s. what Marv was saying. This was still very yes.
Well, yeah, I get it. It is 90s, but it actually is. It's an icon.
It was groundbreakingly different.
It's a masterpiece because it's the antithesis of 90s action movies.
Yes.
Because it is an action movie with a 90s feel to it for sure.
It's the feel, like the way it was shot was like just
this is like
90s.
This is gritty and realistic, and I don't think you could get more realistic than this.
This was raw and grounded. This is what you talk about when you talk about raw and grounded.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, cinematography, there's no computer generated, special effects and stuff. It was all shot on location in and around LA, which plays a huge part of the story.
Awesome.
It was, the last scene is shot at LAX, like it's all on location. And so I think it holds up in 2026. You think it holds up watching it for the first time. What about you, Dusty? Where are you at?
Oh, absolutely. It holds up. Yeah, there's some things. When we were watching, I watched this with Christina. She was able to sit down and watch it with me.
Was it her first
time? She thinks it holds up
too?
No, she'd seen it before, but she hadn't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
When we were watching it, she said, it's crazy because the guns sound fake, but realer at the same time. And I was like, yeah, that's because
do you know why? Yeah.
They didn't dub in the gunshots. He actually had microphones on set. And so those are like actual gunshots that you're hearing from a microphone pickup. It's live.
There's a story.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Michael Mann has said, like, when he was in post editing it, he was like, why the he's like, I don't like the way this sounds. This sounds fake. He's like,
Yep.
So they didn't do any post editing on that shootout in downtown LA after the bank heist.
That's why it sounded so like guttural. That shit was crazy.
It was real gunfire.
That is one of the most immersive scenes in any movie ever. So much so, like, I feel like my neighbors probably called the cops when I was watching it the other night. Like on my surround sound, it was like insane.
Yeah, that shit was gnarly.
And it's like, that just isn't, you don't get movies like that anymore. I actually also saw a clip of what's his name from Barry. The fuck is the actor's name? I just had him up on the screen.
Ben? No.
Not
Barry Keoghan.
I don't want him. Get him out of here.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader.
Bill.
Yeah. I saw a clip of Bill Hader talking about Heat, and he said that the whole time he was working on Barry, when he would be in the editing room, he was asking the editors, the sound guys, to be like, hey, how do we get this to sound more like Heat? And they would always be like, well, we just wouldn't have a job if that was the case, because there's no editing to the sound design.
Yeah.
But Dusty, so you think it holds up? Overall thoughts?
Yeah, great movie, great story, great acting, great cinematography, great sound. There's nothing. I don't have any problems with this. This is a great movie. It's gonna get a good rating.
Yeah, Heat's the gold standard of these types of action movies. Like I said, it reinvented the genre. This is what would be considered a neo-noir, right? You could see how it like took a lot of influence from noirs of the past, like Chinatown and stuff like that. That just gritty crime story, detective story kind of, but with an action twist. And I mean, the influence on this movie is immeasurable. I'm sure you've noticed, like the bank heist is literally in GTA 5.
Oh wow!
Like the masks, like everything about it.
Yeah.
The writers of GTA like credit this movie for GTA 3, 4, and 5. The Dark Knight was influenced by this. Christopher Nolan cites this movie as his main influence on The Dark Knight, and how The Dark Knight is such a different. Go ahead.
I said my goat.
Yeah, your goat. And The Dark Knight is such a different Batman story because Christopher Nolan's goal was to use Gotham as a character, sort of the way that LA is used as a character in Heat. But I didn't realize until watching it now recently, there are some shots in The Dark Knight that are like 1-to-1 recreations of Heat, especially the scene of De Niro like standing in front of his window and you just see the beach. Like there's that shot from The Dark Knight after Rachel dies and Bruce is just sitting in the chair and he's silhouetted against the window. Like it's crazy. But like other crime movies of the last 10, 15, 20 years, The Town, Den of Thieves, the list just goes on and on. So you could see this movie's fingerprints like all over modern media.
Sure.
So a big thing with this movie is not really the action and stuff like that. It's about the tone that the movie sets, and it really tells you everything about it. And one of the main points of this whole movie is Macaulay's code. Don't let yourself get attached to anything that you don't, whatever he says, don't have a problem, ditching within 30 seconds of the heat being around the corner or whatever.
Yep.
And so this movie is really about like professionalism, I guess. That's what people say when they talk about this, that they bring up like, professionalism, discipline, devotion to your job and stuff like that. And it's that discipline is to a point where it ruins their lives in every other possible way. Yeah, other than what they do. But you see that in every single character, which I think is really great. Like, but every character has their devotion to their own kind of thing. Obviously, Macaulay and Hannah sort of are opposite. They're two sides of the same coin, really. They're the same person, which is why the ending is so powerful, but we'll get to that. But like, Val Kilmer has a devotion. His is much different. To his wife, exactly. Which is poetic. We'll talk about it in a second. Tom Sizemore was devoted to the juice, the actions, the juice for him. That's what he says.
Gotta get a fix.
So what did you think about that sort of
obsession?
That sort of portrayal of obsession, Marvin?
It was good. I mean, people are like, think about people that go like spelunking, bro. They're like, they're freaks, right? But like, it's they love it. Like I see
those
the same
TikToks where they're like, all right,
so crazy.
I'm 14 miles underground. And starting to run out of air. I just gotta wiggle through the spot. Fuck that. You gotta. It's
crazy.
Like you just want to die.
Right. No, I thought it was good though because this guy really had everything. Even Macaulay says it like, "Hey man, you got real estate. You got a bunch stashed away." And he's like, me. I just want to go back. I don't really care about anything else, but getting back in there. So
the
it's
action,
like,
that's the juice, baby.
It's crazy, man. Yeah.
It's actually. It feels. You thought it was what?
I thought it was like great how they portrayed him as a character. Just something different from the other characters. Even like, like people having the family and then their devotion, but then this guy's just like doing it for the thrill.
Do any of the characters stand out more for you, Dusty, than others?
No, not particularly. They were all well portrayed. I think the dynamic of the cop trying to do the right thing and live by the code of the law, but struggling in his own personal relationship, and
Yeah.
You know, you see that a million times, but I think that it's done very well in this movie. So
The workaholic.
I think it's done differently in this movie because he doesn't come across as a workaholic, which is why I think it's interesting, and it's why it's great that it's contrasted against De Niro in that, like, they are like, it's not even like it's like they are just primally obsessed with what they do. And what's his name says it. He's like, I just do what I do best. And so, like, when that is all you know, and not like, I don't know, it's just like it's like something that regular people I don't even think could like even relate to, because it's just such you don't have room for literally anything else. And like Dusty just said, where other cop movies portray cops as like, I'm a workaholic, or I'm devoted to the job and I can't hold a marriage. This is different. This is like on a whole other level, you know, like when his stepdaughter tries to kill herself. Yeah, he saves her and brings her to the hospital, but he doesn't wait around with his wife to see if she's okay. He's like, gotta go catch the robber. I just gotta go. Like, he's Batman. Like, he's just, that's his duty, you know?
Yeah. I actually had a standout character, which was the John Voight's character, Nate.
Oh.
Like the fixer guy. He was just so solid. I liked his portrayal. He never, at one point, they tried to make it seem like he might have been a little sketchy, but he was always solid, and he came through.
Yeah.
And the same way Val Kilmer's character Chris kind of takes off and strays from the discipline path.
Yeah.
Macaulay does the same thing to get revenge at the end. So
right.
But Nate was always like, guiding them and at least trying to make sure that they made it out. But he was kind of like a father figure. Like he had definitely had some emotional attachment to them, which I thought was good, but it wasn't like overly like, oh, I love you guys so much. It was just like very subtle, but you could tell that he definitely cared about their well-being.
Yeah. And for me, the standout, I think, is, I mean, this sounds silly, but I think it's Val Kilmer's character. Well, actually him and Ashley Judd, because the whole movie is telling you, like, everybody's in this movie is like, this is what I do. Like, this is all I know. Whether you're a cop or a bad, like, there's even no like good or bad in this movie. Like, obviously we have morality and live in a society, so we understand like the bank thief is the bad guy, right? But like, you're rooting for both of them throughout the movie. You're rooting for everybody. There's not one person that you're like, that guy. So
except for Van Zandt.
Yeah, except for what's his name?
And Waingro.
Yes, Van Zandt and Waingro. Yeah, those guys.
They get this die. I don't get other.
But
Slick.
Yeah, Slick.
But the movie is like, it's telling you the whole time, like, hey, this is it. Like, I got to cut and run. I don't have time to be attached to anything. And obviously there's a lot of layered emotional and psychological things there of why, like, the, scared of commitment or love or whatever the fuck. But like, the movie constantly tells you that. And funnily enough, everybody who adheres to that devotion at that level either dies or their lives are ruined. Pacino doesn't die, but his life is pretty much over by the end of that movie. Or you forget he's not going to have a happy ending with his current wife and his stepdaughter, right?
Yeah, no happy endings.
The only one who gets somewhat of a happy ending is Val Kilmer, who does not adhere to the same rule.
Yeah.
Like he says earlier in the movie, when De Niro, when he wakes up drunk in De Niro's empty husk of a house, his monument to loneliness, De Niro's like, just leave her, bro. Like, that's my motto. Like, if you 30 seconds.
Yeah. It's kind of bad though, because if you think about what actually happened, he ends up not really reuniting with his wife because obviously they were going to just arrest him. And then you're led to believe she's just going to be charged as an accessory, and then their child is going to be in foster, because that's what the Sergeant Drucker guy says, the black cop. Mm-hmm. He's like, you got to cooperate. And even though she attempts to cooperate, because he doesn't show, you think, okay, well, they're not going to be able to reunite because she's going to go to prison. The kid's going to go to foster care, and Kilmer's character is not going to be able to reunite with either of them. That's what it seems like.
That could be. I take it a little bit differently. They could reunite somewhere down the line. Like, why would she would she go to jail? She's cooperating in their eyes.
It would be up to the police. Could file charges either way because she was an accessory after the fact, probably. But it would be up to the DA to decide whether or not to press the charges. So she could get some sort of probation or short prison time, or she could get nothing. But she was definitely involved, so there's plausible chance that she could face some sort of punishment.
Hang on a second. Yeah, the way I take it is that like she's cooperating, right, to them. She's doing everything they ask. So like the deal to me was just like, hey, cooperate with us and we'll let you go. She did her job. Like she didn't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the main point I was getting at is that like he says to De Niro earlier when De Niro's like, well, fuck, whatever, just leave her, I guess. He's like, dude, the sun rises and sets with her. Like, she's all I care about. Like, that's my life. Yes, he's a flawed person. He gambles and he's risking their marriage and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they're ride or die together. And she's ride or die for him, even though she's pissed off at him and she's thinking about leaving him. When push comes to shove, she gives him the blackjack signal to like, off, the cops are here. And that's a great moment because that sort of like anchors the theme of the movie of like, hey, this type of like dedicated to this type of like crazy devotion to a thing will f you up. Like he stands as the only character that like didn't die and just kind of like got away, right? As far as we know.
Yeah, I think in a similar but dissimilar fashion, yes. I think it shows the movie in the dynamic that like because it's his theme, 30 seconds, walk away.
Yeah.
But and then there's things that all of us, anybody will walk away from, whether it's big or small. Like some, walk away from a date or, walk into a movie, pay $20, walk out 5 minutes later because it's terrible. Walk out of your marriage. There's lots of things that people walk away from, but there's lots of things that people won't walk away from. And I think this movie kind of explores what people want, what they are and aren't willing to walk away from, what they're willing to fight for, the consequences of those actions.
Yeah, what are you willing to lose?
And where the consequences or benefits of those actions. And you kind of see it from everybody's angle because it's a bank heist. So you see the good guys and the bad guys because like he's Al Pacino. He's now willing to walk away from his wife, even though it's basically over, but he tries to stick it out and fight it. He's not going to walk away from it, but
he's not going to not.
It's an interesting, what a psychological evaluation of what humans will and won't walk away from in certain situations.
And so this movie isn't about the score. It's about the spaces in between, which I think is amazing. And that's why this movie stands above others in similar genre and stands as a masterpiece because it explores a lot of these like emotional and psychological things just framed around like a cops, robbers, bank heist sort of movie, action movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the greatest scenes in the movie is their diner scene. It's very famous. It's like one of the most famous scenes in movie history. What'd you think about that one, Marvin? Were you like on the edge of your seat? This movie has you kind of on the edge of your seat. You're like, just because of that like cat and mouse game. Yeah. And were you surprised that like that happened? Because it's kind of comes out of nowhere. It's
extremely
like,
surprised.
Let's go for some coffee.
When he pulled the mower, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad already. And then they're like, no, let's just talk about it. Because it just kind of showed how they both knew they were a part of the greater game, which is the cops and robbers cat and mouse game.
Yep.
Even when like they had them robbing the jewelry store or the jewel place or whatever. And Macaulay hears the banging in the truck. And he's like, okay, we got to get out of here. And Pacino's character, Hannah, he's like, okay, we can't bust them right now, like
Yeah.
they're only going to get 6 months. Like, we got to actually go through this. So I think it was a good portrayal of like both of them, like knowing like the greater game that they're in.
How to play the game. Yeah.
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 And of course, that is, paid off at the end. They are two sides of the same coin. They are the same person, essentially. And yin and yang. Yes, and ironically, they're the only two people that truly understand each other. And that's what you learn that from that conversation, that they're the same person. I love it when he's like, "Don't you want like whatever he says, a domesticated life?" He's like, "What the fuck is that? Ball games and barbecues?" Like,
right.
I love the way he delivers
normalcy?
it. Yeah, in such a Robert De Niro way. But like, so that is paid off and comes full circle, obviously, at the end of the movie, which, by the way, is one of the best endings ever in movie history. Where, not only does he tell him, he does exactly what he said I'll do. He's like, "I won't hesitate to put you down when I get the chance." Yeah. And he does. And then he "I told you I wouldn't go back.
Told you I wasn't going back."
And then he just holds his hand while he dies. It's actually, you don't expect it to be emotional, but it is really emotional. Like, especially with the music too, like that powerful score welling up, it makes you emotional because like it's a little tragic that like he had to kill the only person that gets it, like that really understands who he is. In another life, they could have been friends.
Yeah, they hinted at that.
They
in
would
the
have
diner.
been friends, probably, yeah.
Would have been friends, maybe would have been partners, like on either side of the thing. They could have been like amazing detectives together or amazing bank robbers together because of their obsessive devotion and drive. So that ending is amazing, and it's tragic, and it's just, and it's shot and it's framed so well when they zoom out, and it's just his hand and the tarmac. Oh man, what an amazing ending.
Yeah.
But that's why the ending works, because it's not that surface level like, oh, the hero won, like the cop won, but it's because of like these two guys that sacrificed like literally everything for their code, right? The thing that drove them. It's what finally cost them everything.
Yep.
And so that's why I think the movie is obviously more than just a heist movie, and that's why it stands as a masterpiece. That's why it'll forever be what it is in movie history. It'll it's
their willingness to even go into all the drama during like an action movie.
That's why Dusty was like, it's not really a 90s movie. It's just like completely stands on its own. And that's why it changed the genre. Like it showed that you could have substance around like all this other stuff. Like the shootout in LA is like one of the greatest action sequences of all time ever shot. In fact, it's so famous that there was a famous bank robbery. There's a famous LA shootout in the 90s. I think like 7 civilians, 11 cops, both bank robbers were killed. That played out a lot like this. They robbed the same bank in LA.
Oh wow.
And when they raided their homes, they found a tape of Heat in their VCR. Like the movie is that influential. That's influencing actual criminals.
Yeah. That scene reminded me a lot of the One Battle After Another.
Yeah, a little bit.
Bank robbery.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Dusty?
I was gonna say it influenced the other way too. They used to show it to U.S. Marine recruits as how to properly rapid reload and to retreat under fire,
and to transition fire from behind you to front of you. Imagine that. They showed Heat to Marines to be like, this is how you shoot guns.
Well, yeah, I mean they had a special forces guy. I think it was a British special forces guy on set with them, so he was the one that did the training. But the characters in the movie, I believe, were in the book at least, were Marines. So that's why Mann did his homework. Yeah, and he did a lot of homework. Like this movie does its homework.
Oh my god!
And there's I couldn't really. I mean, I could find maybe one Dusty gripe, but it's
what's the Dusty gripe?
It's more in general, like the scene at the end at the airport, like maybe back then, but nowadays, if somebody runs across the runway and there's an airplane on the runway, security's going to be there in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
2 minutes security's going to be there. But there's a lot of movies like in the 80s and 90s where people are chasing people across runways. So I give it, that's why I kind of like, man, this scene. Okay. I would have chose a different location, I guess, for that end scene than the runway. But other than that, no gripes.
I thought you were going to have a gripe with, one was the amount of bullets they were shooting in between reloading in the after the bank robbery. Like Val Kilmer specifically shot probably 100 bullets before he reloaded, and then
Marvin's counting the magazine size.
Al Pacino's character Hannah, when he takes the shot at the guy holding the girl, I'm like, I feel like they would never take that shot.
Well, he would have. That's the thing, though. Yeah, because he lives for that shit.
Yeah, a normal cop probably never would, but somebody like him would definitely would. Yeah. But this is one of the more gun accurate. Like, there's not many when you talk about, especially in the 90s. Like, go watch Commando or Tango and Cash, and literally any movie where they're holding the trigger for 30 seconds, putting out thousands of rounds.
There's
a round magazine, but
there's a lot of amazing attention to detail in this movie. I love how, like, in the beginning, the guards of the armored car, like, lose their hearing because there's a explosion while they're in a tin can. Like,
so you can't hear you, dumbass.
Yeah, like, movies never really think to do that. And I thought that was great. And real quick, the last thing I wanted to mention is I think the character, you could think easily that he's just a throwaway. And I've seen some people be like, I don't even understand why he was in the movie to just die. But the character Breeden, Dennis Haysbert, who plays the recently released convict.
Oh, it was, the worst. He got the worst of it.
Because this movie explores so many things. It's so multi-layered. It doesn't just explore the dedication and the devotion and the drive and all that stuff. It's like, the crew are a well-oiled machine. It shows how the police force, love them or hate them, needs to be a well-oiled machine to do its job.
Yeah.
But it also shows how the system sets people up to fail and, like, forces people into a life of crime. Like, you get out of prison, you try to do the right thing. Okay, you up, and now you're trying to get your life straight, but you're thrown into a dead-end job by a piece of shit boss who's going to take advantage of you and be like, nope, you're going to mop the floors and clean the toilets, and you're going to give me 50% of your money that I'm giving you so that I could tell you, otherwise I'm going to tell your parole officer that you fucked up. Like, and so what is that guy to do other than to, when he gets an opportunity to be like, hey, we got a big score, you want in? Yeah, man, I'm down, and then dies.
Yep.
So I think that is a really necessary and needed element in the movie, even though it's like short-lived and he's in it very briefly. It shows that part of the system too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So brilliant movie, very, very multi-layered. It absolutely holds up in 2026, 30 years later. The action's still incredible. The performances are legendary. But like I said, what makes it timeless isn't like the heist or the chase or all that stuff. It's all the stuff underneath. And then what the story is really about, which is like, a fear of connection almost, where like these guys are just incapable of connecting with anything greater. And there's glimpses of that with De Niro, namely in the restaurant where he sees his crew having like, they're all having a great time and they have families and they have loved ones and he has nothing. And what does he do? He goes and calls, what's her name? Edie.
Yeah.
So, and Pacino too, like he also has this fear of connection. That's why, like, I don't think, he's not actively trying to hurt his marriage, but he's also not actively trying to like make it better either.
Right.
And this is his third marriage, because like, what happens if I actually connect with somebody? Because as a cop, maybe you think like, well, I can't, he even kind of says like, I can't share this shit with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to connect when you have to compartmentalize all the shit you have to deal with every day and then turn that off and be a loving, attentive, admirable husband.
And on the flip side with Macaulay, when he first gets introduced to Edie in the diner and she's like, hey, what are you reading? He's like, why the fuck are you so interested in what I'm reading? Like, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the ability to connect to normal people. He's just so locked into the life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
nonstop.
That was
Just don't stop.
You just don't stop. Marvin, so before we end it, did you notice any of like the pop cultural stuff? Like great ass. Like that's had you not seen that before?
Oh,
nope. That's like a legendary meme of him yelling great ass.
Mm-hmm. That shit was funny. He's just got Al Pacino's got the voice.
People think his acting in this was a little overblown. He has later said, I think recently, that the character in his mind was like on coke during the movie. So that was part of the reason why he was like that. But
yeah, I just chopped it up as Al Pacino.
Just an intensity, yeah.
It didn't really bother me that much.
I also love when the guy he's on the phone with the cop who hurt his arm. He's like, "How's your arm?" He's like, "It's all right." He just hangs up. He's like, "All right, good, whatever." Don't care.
Did you notice the guy, Hugh Benny? Did you notice him?
Hugh Benny.
He was the guy that was under Van Zant. He was like Van Zant's little...
Oh, yeah. That's, what's his name from Black Flag?
Yeah.
Yeah. What the f is his name?
I thought it was so random. Henry Rollins.
Yeah, he partook in some acting back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was so funny.
It was funny when he gets the shit kicked out of him in the apartment when they like go after him. You could see the Black Flag tattoo he has on the back of his neck. It was pretty funny. But yeah, so Heat, the gold standard, not just of crime films, but of character-driven storytelling. One of the greatest movies of all time. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Marvin. Not a mention of runtime from either of you. That's huge here at the Harsh Language Podcast, folks. These guys, they're sticklers for runtime.
No, wasn't
it's a good movie and it's a good story. Yeah.
The extra time was built like building character, so it was like meaningful usage of time. Like, like with Wayne Grove, like we see that he's like a borderline serial killer, killing prostitutes.
Yep.
And it just shows you how up he is and why he did what he did. Likely at the beginning of the movie.
Every single person in this movie has some level of characterization that fleshes them out, and it's great.
Yeah. Yep.
Every single scene was compelling and even built a larger story.
Yep.
Even Sergeant Drucker, the black cop, like he even got like little pieces of character building with like the way he was protective over Val Kilmer's wife when the asshole guy comes in. Like even that little thing was something.
Frank Azaria. Yep. So this movie will continue to stand the test of time, in my opinion, for all the reasons we discussed. It's currently got an 8.3 on IMDb. I think that's criminally low. This is a 10 out of 10 movie, 100%. Top 10, one of the greatest movies ever made. You'll never change my mind. So 10 for me. What about you, Dusty?
Yeah, I give it a 9.
9, okay. That's Dusty's
big.
Perfect, folks. Don't be mad.
That's Dusty's perfect.
First time watching, Marvin. What's your rating?
It's an easy 10. Easy 10.
All right. There you have it. 10s across the board for the most part. What about you, folks? What do you think of Heat? Let us know. I'm sure there's a lot of Heat fans out there. I'm sure there's stuff that we missed. What do you say? What can you say about Heat that hasn't been said before, you know? So there you have it. There's our thoughts on Heat. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about Heat. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is there anything we missed that you think we should have talked about? We do this once a week for the most part. We've had a little bit of a turbulent last couple of weeks, the holidays and the Super Bowl, and then we got sick. But we're hoping to get back on schedule, and we hope you'll join us. Next week, we are talking about F1, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's a movie I have been hearing about nonstop all year, and now it's nominated for Best Picture, so I decided we have to watch it. I know Dusty's already watched it. Are you going to watch it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll watch it for the third time, sure.
Oh, third time. Damn.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Good.
So stick around for that, folks. That'll be next week. If you enjoyed the conversation, consider subscribing. And click the notification bell so you get notified when new episodes go live. You can join our Discord. The link is down below. It's free to join. We do not spam you with any type of, alerts and stuff. We just share our schedule for the month so you can watch along with us, and trailers and news and things of that nature. So the last time we were here, we talked about Marty Supreme, and we weren't sure if it was overrated or not. Like, it was all we were fucking hearing about. And funny enough, during this week, I had been I've seen some reports at the BAFTAs that Marty Supreme just tanked. It lost like everything it was nominated for. What did I tell you guys? I told you it was like it broke a record for losses, I think.
It's I think it's tied for most losses.
It's tied for most losses. So Marty Supreme.
What's the other movie?
I don't even know. The movie that everybody thought was going to win everything is not doing so hot during this award season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that come the Oscars, which is in a couple weeks, actually, right? 2 weeks.
I'm actually excited to see who wins this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And we'll be covering it, folks.
It's tied with most losses with Women in Love, 1969, and Finding Neverland, 2004.
Finding Neverland, huh? Wow.
Marty Supreme, the GOAT, the best movie ever made, is not doing so hot, folks. So, but yeah, we covered that last week. So if you want to see our thoughts on Marty Supreme, you could click the video right there. We will catch you next time. Thanks for hanging with us.
Asta.